Years of grammar and syntax memorization often lead to the same result: a student who knows the rules but freezes when forced to speak. The underlying failure isn't the curriculum, it is communication anxiety, the paralyzing fear of being socially judged for a mistake. Researchers at Rajamangala University of Technology Suvarnabhumi proposed a radical intervention to address this anxiety in a 2026 study. This chart shows the cohort's baseline. The pre-test mean was just 17.17 out of 40, a systemic failure in basic competency. 7 weeks later, the post-test mean rose to 26.79, achieving a 56% relative jump in scores. The researchers achieved this outcome by migrating the classroom into VR chat, utilizing the platform's capacity for immersion and custom avatars. Understanding this shift requires deconstructing the specific psychological environment in which these students were forced to learn. Engineering a 56% competency jump in 14 hours of instruction requires a highly specific pedagogical structure. The study involved 53 undergraduate students, mostly in their second year, using a strict one-group pre-test, post-test design. Immersive technology alone has no inherent educational value. It must be mapped to a specific architectural framework to produce results. The study's conceptual framework details the independent variables introduced. First, active learning, where the instructor facilitates student-led discovery. Second, the VR chat platform, selected for immersive simulations and personalized avatars. Finally, communicative language teaching replaces textbook drills with authentic roleplay. These variables force students into scenarios where they must communicate to navigate the simulation. This directly contrasts with traditional classrooms, where passive listening allows students to hide from participation. VR chat serves as a delivery system for active learning. Without this pedagogical core, the software remains a digital novelty rather than a learning tool. Moving to the hard data, we must determine if these results were a statistical anomaly. This was the cohort's baseline. At a 42.9% average, students could not follow basic instructions or pronounce foundational words. After the 7-week VR chat intervention, the curve shifted right, with scores settling at an average of nearly 67%, well above the university's 60% passing threshold. To validate this wasn't caused by natural progression or random variance, researchers applied a paired t-test. Table 3 mathematically compares the before and after states. A massive t-value of 43.95 indicates a stark statistical difference. The p-value of 0.00 confirms reliability, proving there is less than a 0.1% chance these results are from random variance. This represents an undeniable structural upgrade in language competency achieved in only 14 contact hours. With data validated, we can examine the specific psychological mechanism driving this adaptation inside the headset. The qualitative data reveals the why behind the numbers, showing how the students perceived the virtual environment. Student satisfaction was high, with an overall mean of 4.53 out of 5. The highest-rated metric was the supportive atmosphere of the virtual classroom. VR removes the intimidation factor of a physical lecture hall, leading directly to a self-reported surge in speaking confidence. In linguistics, the affective filter is a psychological barrier, where anxiety and fear of judgment physically block the brain from processing new language input. VR chat introduces what we call an avatar shield. The digital avatar divorces the student's real-world identity from their linguistic mistakes. When students feel anonymous, the affective filter drops. The fear of being judged disappears, making them willing to take risks with vocabulary and pronunciation. There was one minor dip in satisfaction regarding assessment and evaluation. While students appreciated the freedom of avatars, they expressed slight concern about how an instructor accurately grades an anonymous digital character in real time. The researchers suggest implementing video recordings of sessions so students can review their own performance and receive more precise feedback. They also note that a lack of technical support or poor internet infrastructure replaces language anxiety with technical anxiety, which can compromise the learning outcomes. The most effective future application is a blended model. High-repetition grammar work stays in the physical classroom, while anxiety-inducing communication practice moves exclusively to VR. VRC Chat's primary value in education lies in its ability to engineer a psychological environment where the brain's natural defenses stop blocking the acquisition of knowledge.